The case of Isaac Apodaca centers on the October 2022 death of 21-year-old Grace Jennings in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Prosecutors allege that Isaac Apodaca and his girlfriend, Kiara McCulley, planned and carried out Jennings' murder after luring her to their residence. Prosecution has relied on witness testimony, digital communications, internet search history, and forensic evidence to support their case. The defense challenges both the interpretation and reliability of key evidence. As with every criminal case, Isaac Apodaca is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
Who is your next witness, counsel?
Jeffrey Smith, Your Honor.
Sir, if you'd face me and raise your right hand, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
See, you have some kind of notes or documents with you. Don't refer to those unless you're directed to by counsel. If you'd begin by stating your name for our record and spelling it for us, please.
My name is Jeffrey Smith, Jeffrey Smith.
Mr. Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith.
Afternoon.
What do you do for a living?
I am a forensic scientist with the New Mexico Department of Public Safety here in the Santa Fe lab.
All right. And how long have you been with the Department of Public Safety?
I started with DPS in 2014. I left at the end of 2019 where I was the supervisor of the Albuquerque Police Department latent print section. And I came back in 2020 because COVID blew up the world.
All right. And is that sort of how much experience you have in as a forensic scientist, or do you go back before 2000? Did you say 2014?
I began my career in 1987 with the Sacramento Police Department. I was there a little over 13 years. Excuse me. I accepted a position with the Lakewood, Colorado Police Department as their latent print unit supervisor. I was there for 5 years when I left to take a position as a contractor for the Department of Defense, and I was in Iraq for approximately 2.5 years where I ran the latent fingerprint lab at Camp Fallujah. I came back, went to work for the Denver Police Department for approximately 2 years, and then I left as an independent contractor and worked as a subcontractor for Ron Smith and Associates at the Houston Police Department for 4 years. And then when that contract ran out is when I came to New Mexico.
All right. And what sort of educational background do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree from California State University, Sacramento, and I've had a multitude of specialized training in crime scene examination and processing, latent print processing, and latent print examination.
All right. And do any of those trainings offer, or do you have any sort of certifications or certificates?
Because of my experience at the time, I was qualified to take the International Association for Identification's latent print certification test, which I passed and have maintained since 1992. Yes, 1992.
All right. So for your job, is there a minimum educational requirement that you have to have?
I believe so. I think you have to have a bachelor's degree at a minimum, but I'm not certain because it changed within the last few years, I believe.
Okay. And do you have to participate in any sort of, continuing education or anything like that?
Our lab is accredited to an international standard, and as part of that standard, continuing education is required. Continuing education is also required for me to maintain my certification.
And have you ever testified as an expert witness before?
I have.
Do you know how many times?
In excess of 100.
Okay. And in what field or what discipline have you testified?
I have testified and been recognized as an expert in crime scene investigation, latent print examination, 10 print examination, and that occurred in California, Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, and I've had 2 sworn statements accepted in lieu of in-person testimony in the Central Criminal Court of Iraq.
All right. Your Honor, at this point, the state would offer Mr. Smith as an expert in latent print examination.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
He is so received and allowed to express his opinion in that area.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to talk a little bit about what some of this stuff is that we're going to talk about. So what is a latent print?
On the palms of your hands, your fingers, the soles of your feet, you have a type of skin that's called friction ridge skin. It's raised skin that allows you to grip things and hold on to things. Except for maybe your feet. You don't really grip with your feet, but because of the uniqueness of that skin, which forms prior to birth, maintains its structure throughout your life, except for size due to growth, and it always, when you shed your skin, comes back exactly the same, except for permanent scarring. The friction ridge skin on your fingers forms patterns. There are 3 types of patterns: loops, whorls, and arches. And the friction ridge skin itself has ridge characteristics, there are 3 basic types. For example, a ridge will go and stop, an ending ridge. A ridge will go and split into 2, a bifurcation, or there will be a dot. Self-explanatory, it's a dot. We use those characteristics. I'm probably not answering your question anymore, am I?
You are.
Okay. We use those ridge characteristics and their spatial relationship to one another to allow us to determine source when we are doing comparisons.
Okay. And when you're doing a comparison, do you have to have an inked or a known print to compare something to?
We do compare to a known set of standards. I don't know. People get printed for various reasons throughout their life. Those known standards, because we know where they came from, are used as the exemplars. The latent impressions that we come across on items, they're unknown to us. We don't know where they occurred, how they were left on an item. So we have unknowns, latents, or knowns, or exemplars.
Okay, so when you're making that comparison, how do you do it?
Well, sometimes I use a magnifying glass. A lot of times nowadays, because when we capture friction ridge skin or latent prints on items, we use digital cameras. So we do everything digitally on a computer screen. So I will take my unknown, my latent print, and I will analyze it to see if there's enough information there for me to make a determination. At the Department of Public Safety, we have basically 2 conclusions. We have identification, we know who the source, or we have exclusion. It is not the person we're comparing. On occasion, there is a 3rd conclusion, which we call inclusion, exclusion. We can't make a source determination. We can't make an elimination because we don't have enough information either from the unknown, the latent, or the known standards.
Okay. And is there ever time that you have to use another tool, maybe not a magnifying glass, in order to visualize a print?
A lot of times now, everything we do is digital, so it's on a computer screen. So we use Photoshop program to enlarge images. We can put the latent and the known side by side, because what we're looking for when we're making comparisons is correspondence. The characteristics I mentioned before, the 3 characteristics, and their spatial relationship to one another, we're looking for that in the known. When, for example, I have a bifurcation facing down, the corresponding ridge going up ends, so I have a characteristic of a bifurcation going down, a characteristic of an ending ridge going up. 3 ridges away, I have a bifurcation going up. I'm looking for that spatial relationship of all the ridge characteristics contained in the unknown, and I'm looking for the correspondence in the known. That is how we can determine source.
Okay, so in looking at, I guess, a finger or a palm, something like that, if I had cleaner glasses, I might be able to see something within that. Are those the ridges that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with DPS case number 22-3858?
Yes.
All right. And did you receive items for this case in order to test for latent prints?
I did.
Do you know what items you received in this case to test?
5, 6, and 9.
All right. And are those all of the items that you received?
No. Can I refer to my report?
Any objection?
No. Sorry, Your Honor, no objection.
You may.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
5, items 5, 6, 12, 9, 11, and 15.
Okay. So let's just start with number 5. What was item number 5?
Item number 5, which was agency item number 15, was a sword with reddish brown stains and what I suspected to be hairs.
All right. And item number 6. What was item number 6?
It was the sheath to the sword.
And how about, do you have items 12-1 and 12-2?
Yes.
What were those?
A dagger and its corresponding sheath.
What about item number 9?
Item 9 was inked finger and palm print standards bearing the name Kiara McCulley.
And is there a date of birth that was corresponded with that?
12/4/2002.
What about item number 11?
Inked finger and palm print standards bearing the name Isaac Apodaca, date of birth 12/19/1996.
And finally, lab item number 15. What was that?
Post-mortem inked fingerprint standards bearing the name Grace Jennings, date of birth 8/22/2001.
Would you tell the jury a little bit about the process? How did you get those items?
Well, this case was assigned to me by my supervisor, which is typical. And then I look at the assignment, I see which items I need to request. I submit a request to our evidence section, who receives the evidence from submitting agencies, stores it in the vault until somebody like me asks for it for analysis. So I submitted a request to them. They pull the items. Our evidence tracking system is a barcode system. So they scan the barcode into the computer system. It's Laboratory Information Management System, or LIMS system. And then I come in, I verify what they're giving me is what I asked for. They put in their unique password. I put in my unique password, and the item is transferred from the evidence section into my control. Within the latent print section, I have personal lockers that I have personal combinations for, where I store it prior to doing my analysis. So I would take it for them, I'd put it in my locker until I'm ready to work on it.
Okay. And to your knowledge, were those contents changed? Were the contents changed, disturbed in any manner other than what you did to perform your test?
No. One of the first things we do when we get the evidence items is we check to make sure that the seal is intact and it has not been compromised. And then our process is to photograph the packaging to show what condition it was in when I received it, which I did in this case.
Okay. And you stated that you've got sort of your own personal lockers. When you receive those contents, were they either in your custody and control or in your locker at all times?
Once I got them from the evidence section, yes.
Thank you. Did you actually perform any latent print processing or development on any of those items?
I did.
All right. Would you tell the jury a little bit about that, please?
All right. First of all, there are two kinds of items that we process for latent prints. There's porous items, something that absorbs. Paper is a good example. And non-porous items, something that doesn't absorb, like my sword. Even though we call the friction ridge latent prints, sometimes when we examine the item, we can see those prints with the naked eye. That is always our first examination method, is a visual inspection to see if there is ridge detail that we can see with our naked eye. If there is ridge detail observed at any point in the processing methods, we document it photographically. In this particular case, there was ridge detail visible to me. I didn't have to do anything. I did no processing when I initially discovered the ridge detail, so I documented it photographically. For non-porous items, our second processing method, well, in this case, because there was reddish brown stains on the item, we use a chemical called amido black, which reacts with the proteins found in blood. It will enhance and highlight if there are those proteins there in a bluish black coloring. So that was my second process in this case. I did not get any additional prints. Following that, we use superglue fuming, where we put our non-porous items in a cabinet, an airtight cabinet. We heat superglue. The fumes will adhere to the residue left when you touch an item. And it's examined after that. Photographs are taken if needed. And the last combo step is a dye stain called rhodomin that we use. It adheres, gets absorbed by the superglue residue, and then we view it with a laser and it will fluoresce to allow us to see it better. Anything's there, we take photographs. Those are the processes I used in this case.
Okay. And you stated that when you used the naked eye, that you were actually able to visualize some prints. Is that correct?
3.
Okay. And then when you went to the next step, I think you called it the amino black, that actually didn't result in anything.
There was some enhancement because we have prints that we're going to use, but when something is handled multiple times, take your cell phone, for example, there's all kinds of bits and pieces of ridge detail that is insufficient for use in comparison. We can't make an exclusion, we can't make an identification because there's not enough information there. These items all had ridge detail that I could not use for comparison. So without checking my notes, I do believe amino there was some enhancement, but nothing significant.
Okay. And then was there anything of significance that happened after and I think you kind of said it was a two-step process, the superglue with then the dye stain?
No, superglue first, then the dye stain
Thank
with
you.
the laser.
Okay.
And no.
Okay, thank you. After you did those sort of processing steps, did you then conduct an analysis?
I conduct an analysis of what's on the item at every step through processing. I think, if I may, what you mean, did I do a comparison?
I do mean that. Thank you. Did you conduct a comparison?
I did.
And what were the results of that comparison?
Okay, I mentioned already that there were 3 prints of value. 2 were sufficient for identification. 1 was sufficient for inclusion, exclusion only. So, as I may have said, or at least alluded to earlier, when we make an identification, that means we're determining source. When we make an exclusion, we're saying that the people we compared could not be the source of that print, but because it's an inclusion print, I can't ever identify that print because there's not enough information there. But I can use it, possibly, for exclusion. 2 of the prints in this case were identified to Ms. McCulley, and the third impression could not be excluded from Ms. McCulley due to the quality of the impression. Now, I'm kind of jumping around and I apologize. When I say a print can't be identified, that doesn't mean it's worthless. As I think I said earlier, there are 3 pattern types and everybody has a combination or one of all of them. There's a loop, the ridge detail comes in, loops around, goes back out the same side. There's a whirl, kind of looks like a Target. Think of the Target department store logo. And there's an arch where the ridges come in from one side, kind of flow up in a wave and go out the other side. Well, this inclusionary print was a right slant whirl. So the ridges come in from the right side, come up, loop over, go back out the other side. If the person I'm comparing has no loops, I can exclude them. They could not possibly be the source of that impression. I could not exclude Miss McCulley, but the other 2 individuals I compared, Apodaca and Jennings, they had loops. But this particular loop, while there's not enough information there for me to make an identification, there was significant ridge count between the delta, which is part of the pattern type. It's where the ridges flow together. split apart and surround or tend to surround the core of the print. So there was significant ridge count between the delta and the core, and Apodaca and Jennings had very small ridge count loops, so I could exclude them based on that information.
All right, and I want to talk to you a little bit about some of what you found, what those results were as far as specific items. So as far as lab item number 5, which I think you stated was the sword with reddish brown stains on that?
Correct.
Okay. Was there anything sufficient for possible identification?
Yes.
All right, and what was it?
Those were the 3 that I explained just a minute ago. 2 for identification, which were identified, and 1 for inclusion, exclusion, which couldn't be excluded, but was excluded from 2 of the 3.
Okay, so let's talk about the identification portion. Who did that identification come back to?
One of them was identified as the right middle finger of McCulley. One was identified as the left palm of McCulley.
And then what about for the impressions that were sufficient for inclusion or exclusion only?
I could not exclude McCulley, but I was able to exclude Apodaca and Jennings.
Okay, let's move on to lab item number 6. Was there anything sufficient there for you to analyze?
No.
And number 6 was the sheath?
Yes.
Looking to lab items number 12-1 and 12-2, was there anything there for you to sufficient for your analysis?
No.
So based on lab item number 5, were you able to make or able to come to any conclusions?
Item 5?
Item 5.
Yes, that was the 3 impressions. 2 were identified. The third one could not be excluded from McCulley, but was excluded from Apodaca and Jennings.
Okay. And I guess to maybe sort of simplify that down a little bit, what is your ultimate opinion about whose prints are on that sword?
It is in my opinion that the source of the 2 prints is McCulley. Right middle and left palm. I would not expect to see that in any other person that I've ever seen or compared. Back up a little bit. While not all prints could be compared to everybody in the world, no 2 prints have ever been found to be from 2 separate sources. Even identical twins have different ridge characteristics, different fingerprints, their palms are different. They are unique, while identical twins have the same DNA. But I cannot compare everybody in the world. But in my opinion, I would not expect the source of those prints to be anybody other than McCulley. However, the source of the remaining impression could not be Apodaca or Jennings for the very same reasons.
And I know that you've been referring to your report is documenting sort of everything that you do throughout the process, a normal course of your business?
Absolutely.
Okay. Permission to approach the witness?
Yes, show counsel what you have.
He did, Your Honor. Thank you.
Come on up.
Mr. Smith, that has been marked as state number 84. Would you take a look at that? Do you recognize that?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
I'm familiar with it. It's the report that I authored. Has my digital signature on it.
And is it the report that you authored for this specific case?
It is.
All right. At this point, I would move it into evidence.
Any objection to 84?
No objection, Your Honor.
84 is admitted.
I pass the witness.
Cross-examination, counsel?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So I just want to try to clear some things up. When you visually identified those 3 prints on the sword, did you make a specific label for each one in your notes? What are those labels? Is it 5A, 5B, and 5C? And if you need to look at your notes, you can.
Thank you. Yes, 5A, 5B, 5C.
Okay, and all 3 of those were found on the sword?
Correct.
Okay, so where on the sword was 5A found?
I marked it on the sword. I don't specifically remember what I did, 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. I know you take pictures while you're doing this entire process. Would it help maybe if you looked at the pictures, you might be able to remember where you found it on the sword?
Well, and I'm going to speculate, no, because the pictures I have are close-ups of the actual latent impressions, not where, but I'm highly confident that the prints are on the blade.
Okay. And 5A is what we're talking about right now.
Okay?
Okay. And that was identified as being the middle finger of Kiara McCulley,
Right middle finger, yes.
right middle finger. And you're saying that was on the blade?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And let's talk about 5B real quick. You also found 5B on the sword, right?
Correct.
That one was a right loop pattern, I think.
5B, yes.
And do you remember where on the sword you found that one?
I do not, but somewhere in the back of my brain, I believe all of these were on the blade, but I can't say for 100% certain unless I actually examine the item again,
Okay.
because I did mark them.
Gotcha. Do you want to try to look at your pictures? I mean, do you have black and white photos there? Is that
No,
what-
I have color.
You do have a color?
Yeah.
Have you already looked at them and you just can't tell?
No.
Okay. All right. Where were we with 5B?
Yes, 5B, right slant loop.
Yeah. Okay. And who does it belong to?
We don't know.
Okay. Now you did try to enhance that one, right?
Yes.
And it ended up being an inclusion exclusion.
Yes, it is a right slant loop, but there's not enough information there. It's too fragmented, I guess, for me to make any kind of identification, but I know it's right slant loop, so I can eliminate people, and I did eliminate people.
And you eliminated Isaac Apodaca.
I did.
Okay. And let's see, we did 5A and 5B. Let's look at 5C. 5C you also found on the sword.
Correct.
That's why it's called 5, because you called the sword 5.
When I mark or number latent impressions, they are a sub of the actual item number. So all these, the A, B, and C, means that they came from item 5.
Okay. And item 5C was the left palm print of Kiara McCulley.
Correct.
And you found it on the sword.
Correct.
But you don't remember where?
No.
Okay. And bottom line is you didn't find Isaac Apodaca's fingerprints on that sword.
I did not.
And you didn't find Isaac Apodaca's fingerprints on the sheath?
I found ridge detail that was insufficient for comparison. I don't know who it belongs to.
Okay. And what about the dagger?
Same thing.
Okay. So, and what about the sheath for the dagger?
Same thing, insufficient ridge detail. I could not determine source of any of that insufficient ridge detail and attribute to any specific individual.
Okay. And just to be clear for the jury, Isaac Apodaca is not, his fingerprints are not identified on the sword, on the dagger sheath,
Correct.
nor is he identified on the dagger.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and you guys do quality control in your lab, right?
We do.
And how does that work?
Depends on the specifics. So part of the quality control is evidence intake, making sure everything is sealed, nothing's coming out of its, packaging or anything else. Same thing when I am analyzing evidence or processing evidence. I make sure that the package is sealed when I get it. When I open it, everything is as described. If not, I document what it is. When doing chemical processing techniques on items, we use control strips to make sure that the chemicals are working correctly and we're going to get the expected results.
Okay, and then your results, once you're done with your analysis, is it reviewed by somebody else?
That is also part of quality control. So my comparisons are verified by another competent examiner. And then when my whole package is put together, it's sent for technical review, making sure I did everything correctly and like I was supposed to. If it passes technical review, it goes for administrative review, making sure all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted and I got periods in the right place.
Okay, and do you remember who reviewed your work in this case?
In this particular case, my verifications were done by my supervisor, Bonnie Knoll. I don't know who administratively reviewed it, but it was either Teresa Vigil Miranda or William Gagne, because that at the time were the only people in the office.
Okay. And if they had disagreed with your results, they would have marked that on your report?
They would have sent it back for corrections, yes.
Okay, and they didn't do that?
I don't recall. I may have had some grammatical stuff going on in this case or typos or something, but I don't recall off the top of my head.
So when they're doing that, when you say they're doing that review, is it just dotting your I's and crossing your T's, or are they also looking at, are they analyzing the prints the same way you did?
The technical, well, the verification, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And then the technical review is done by the person who does the verifications to make sure all my processing techniques were recorded, documented. I used my controls. I used all the appropriate processing methods. So yes.
And what kind of experience and training does Miss Knoll have, if you know?
She's been the supervisor and the technical lead of the unit for, I don't know, I want to say at least 15 years. I think she has over 20 years in the field.
Okay, so these prints have basically been reviewed by 2 different analysts.
Yes. Oh, and Ms. Knoll is also a certified latent print examiner from the International Association for Identification.
Okay. Now, are you careful with cross-contamination when you're doing your analysis of these items?
If the item has been submitted for any other type of analysis, specifically DNA analysis, then yes, I take extreme measures to try and prevent contamination.
And were these items also submitted for DNA analysis, if you know?
I believe the sword was. I don't know about the other items, but I do have the submission form with me, I could tell you.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Gotcha. May we approach?
Come on up.
Did you find it, sir?
I did.
All right. So, what the sword was sent? Tell us what happened.
The sword was submitted for latent print examination and DNA analysis.
And so, did you follow the protocol necessary for it to be sent to DNA analysis?
I did.
Okay. Why don't you explain to the jury what that involves?
So when I have an item that is going to have subsequent DNA analysis on it, I do this anyway, but I always use clean butcher paper. I wear gloves. And when I handle items for DNA analysis, I wear what I refer to as a clean room suit. I have a Tyvek hood. I have a Tyvek suit. I wear a mask, and I have a face shield. I wear that with gloves, change my gloves every time I handle something different or I move the item to avoid any kind of cross-contamination if I touch something by accidentally. But the suit, the mask, and the gloves is the precautions I take when handling items for subsequent DNA analysis.
And do you sterilize the work area before you do that?
I use a bleach solution for my bench before I put down my paper. I use the same bleach solution to decontaminate any kind of pens, implements I'll use, like my box cutter to open things up, or my letter opener to open up envelopes. I have some wire cutters because sometimes things are zip tied to their box. Probably was in this case, so I had to cut those. So everything is decontaminated before I start, and I do that after I put on my suit.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Nothing on redirect, but the state would reserve him for rebuttal.
You're being reserved for possible recall. The attorneys will stay in touch with you and let you know if you need to come testify. In the interim, don't discuss your testimony with anyone. Don't seek out any other information about the case.
Yes, sir.
Feel free to step down. Thank you. Additional testimony or evidence on behalf of the state.
State calls Rosalind Archuleta.
This concludes today's proceedings in State of New Mexico versus Isaac Apodaca. The trial continues as both the prosecution and the defense present evidence, question witnesses, and make their arguments before the court. The case has not reached a final verdict, and Isaac Apodaca remains presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Stay tuned for continued coverage of the proceedings and future trial updates.